What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews. I'll be getting a chance to see Spider-Man Far From Home probably in the next couple of days or so, but before that happens, I wanted to share with you all a quick theory that I have. As many of you probably know by now, the MCU does a lot of jumping around when it comes to their movies. Because of that, there tend to be a couple of plot holes that have yet to be filled. One of those plot holes is from Captain Marvel. Many people notice that we've had a Skrull on Earth that hasn't been accounted for. Well, today I have a strong hunch as to who that Skrull may be and that they will be revealed in Spider-Man Far From Home. I'll tell you who I think it is and why coming up next. So let me start off by saying that this is only a theory. So if it comes out to be wrong, it's okay because this is all just for fun. But if it does turn out to be right, I'll take full credit without any shame whatsoever. Okay, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Anyway, let's get to it. The plot hole that I mentioned before has to do with the Skrull from Captain Marvel. If you recall, when the Skrulls landed on Earth, there were 4 of them in total. Talos was the leader, but we all know his fate as he was able to reunite with his family and shoot off into space. The Skrull scientist was killed by young Rog, and the other Skrull who was impersonating Agent Coulson died in the car crash. But there was one more Skrull that apparently survived, and we have no idea whatever happened to him. I'm referring to that old lady Skrull who Captain Marvel was fighting on the train, but the Skrull ended up escaping into the crowd. That would mean that there's been at least one Skrull on Earth that we know of that's been on the loose ever since 1995 in the MCU. Now, there have been 2 leading theories that have floated around the internet wondering who that missing Skrull could be. One of those theories is that the missing Skrull has actually been Nick Fury this whole time. Now, the major clue that that theory was hinging on was a quirky little detail that Fury told Captain Marvel about himself, stating that he can't eat toast when it's cut diagonally. We then jump to Avengers Age of Ultron, and Fury is making himself a sandwich, and some people claim that he cut it diagonally, and that was proof that Fury could be a Skrull. Well, I'm not buying that theory for a couple of reasons. One, we don't know if he actually toasted the bread. 2, it doesn't look like he cut it diagonally. And 3, it would be too hard to really pinpoint just when or where Fury would have been switched. It wouldn't make sense to have him get switched out in the Captain Marvel movie because that Skrull would have probably just opted to go back with Talos and the rest of the other Skrulls. Anyway, the second leading theory, which I think is a little bit more interesting than the Fury one, is that the missing Skrull might actually have been Agent Maria Hill. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of people were believing this was because of what happens at the end of Avengers Infinity War. During the post-credit scene, as Fury and Maria Hill were driving through New York, tracking multiple bogies over Wakanda, Hill shouts out Fury's first name twice as they're about to crash.
Tell Klein we'll meet him
Now, if you recall from Captain Marvel, Fury said that no one calls him anything but Fury. It was a clear tell when Talos, who was also in disguise as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, called Fury by his first name. In the case of Hill, Fury doesn't blink or even think twice about it when she calls him by his first name multiple times. So does this prove that Maria Hill is actually the missing Skrull? Maybe, but I've got my doubts on this too. Hill has worked her way up the ranks ever since the first Avengers movie to become one of Fury's most trusted allies. She was second in command for a while, and she knew many of his secrets, including when he faked his death. That takes a huge amount of trust for someone like Fury, who doesn't trust many people to begin with. So maybe Hill is the one person who's earned the right to call him by his first name, or maybe, given the fact that they were about to be in a car crash, that there simply wasn't enough time for Fury to react to her referring to him by his first name. I don't know, but I think that one thing that kinda rules out Maria Hill for me is the timing of it all. What I mean is the missing Skrull came onto Earth around 1995 or so, and according to Hill's badge, she was born April 4th, 1982. So that means in 1995, Hill would have been about 13 years old. So I highly doubt that a Skrull would just so happen to bump into her and steal her identity for all these years. Okay, so if the missing Skrull isn't Fury or Maria Hill, who could it be, and what does it have to do with Spider-Man Far From Home? Well, I would like to believe that it's someone a little bit easier for Marvel to write in, and possibly be a bit more obvious. And that person would be none other than Dmitry Smirtikov, aka the Chameleon. For those of you who are unaware, the Chameleon is one of Spider-Man's earliest enemies from the comics going back to 1963. He's a master of disguise who could take on the appearance of anyone. Now, does that sound familiar? A master of disguise who just so happens to be able to impersonate anyone? That sounds like a perfectly convenient role for a Skrull to me. The director from Far From Home, John Watts, had this to say about the role of Dmitry. Well, Dmitry in the film works for Nick Fury, and I think anyone who works for Nick Fury, they certainly have a mysterious past. We're not specifically saying that he's Chameleon, but we're not saying. Okay, so let's just assume that Dmitry is the Chameleon, given that non-answer by the director. If anything, it wouldn't be too surprising if Marvel just changed up the Chameleon's character, similar to how they did for other villains like the Vulture. I do think it's pretty interesting that Dmitry, or the Chameleon, would be working for Fury. At first, I thought that maybe Fury would befriend the Skrulls, since he has such a good relationship with Talos. Then again, that missing Skrull from Captain Marvel might not have known about Fury helping the other Skrulls get home safely. So could Dmitry simply be carrying out the original mission that he was sent to Earth to accomplish? That mission, of course, was to get the Tesseract, or maybe even get more information about it. Maybe after he escaped from Captain Marvel, this Skrull later joined S.H.I.E.L.D. so that he could infiltrate and get that information. Could Dmitry be the key to the possible Secret Invasion storyline from the comics? If you haven't read the comics, Secret Invasion is a classic story where the Skrulls invade Earth and secretly start replacing some of the heroes. Now, something else to consider, Talos did say that there are thousands of us separated from each other, scattered throughout the galaxy. I think what we could take away from that is that all Skrulls don't think or act alike. There's always the possibility that a Skrull left on Earth could have a different agenda. I just think that it'd be a pretty good cover for a Skrull to befriend Fury and act like they're harmless when they've really been plotting to take over all the while. And again, it's really convenient that the Chameleon and a Skrull's ability to change appearance would not be a match made in Marvel writers' heaven. Anyway, those are my quick thoughts on the missing Skrull plot hole from Captain Marvel and how it may or may not be fixed in Spider-Man Far From Home. What do you all think? Do you think that Far From Home will address that missing Skrull? Do you think that Dmitry is actually the Chameleon? Could the secret invasion of the Skrulls still happen if he's revealed to be a Skrull? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below so we can chat about it. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who you think would find it interesting. If you want to see more of my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel and become a member of the E-Team. And don't forget to hit the notification button because YouTube won't always let you know when I upload new videos unless you ring that bell. Be sure to tune in soon because I'm going to be working on another theory. I just got to get the kinks out. I think it'll have something to do with the X-Men and the MCU or something like that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all. And until next time, I'll see you all later.